Oh, got it.
Go. All right. We love it when technology works well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are joining us from. You are in for such a huge treat. I have the one and only amazing Nigel Moore here with us. And I told him I'm going to throw him under the bus. He probably thought I was kidding. I'm not kidding, totally throwing him under the bus. We're running about 2 minutes late. My hair was done. He had to mess his up a little bit. He was not happy with his appearance.
Mine was, I hadn't brushed my hair in probably weeks, and so it had turned into dreadlocks, and so I went, crap, I better get rid of these dreadlocks. So I brushed it. Now it looks too good, and I needed to go back to dreadlocks. I like rough, yucky, bloody feral hair. But anyway.
I love it. I love it. Oh man, see, that wasn't even part of our talking points, but like we could talk about like personal hygiene running a business. So we get some women on here talking about the joys of dry shampoo, because
my goodness,
dry shampoo covers up a multitude of evils. So
I don't even know what that means.
Oh, you should look into it. Your ratty hair might
with this mop, I need to figure out something to deal with it, something to keep it tame.
Oh, I love it. All right. So we are live in our Facebook group. We are not really talking about anything cybersecurity specific. We are talking more generally about growing a business and the ups and downs that come with growing a business and how that impacts us as business owners, and how to manage that emotion and that the journey, if you will. So I want to start with the vision. Whether you just come up with a brilliant idea for your business, or you jot it down on a napkin, or you have this aha moment because people in your area are being underserved, or you've got some knack to be able to create a fantastic business that there's a need for. You start with a vision. You start with that germ of an idea that you birth into a business. So take us through that process. How does that work for Nigel? I know you're very graphically inclined.
Yes, I like drawing pictures.
Yeah, you like pictures and mind mapping and stuff like that. So take us through. I know you have the Tech Tribe right now. We're not going to do a huge pitch for it, but go ahead and take us through that journey. How did that journey begin?
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people have these awesome hero story things about their vision for starting their business and wanting to solve these big challenges and whatever. My vision for starting a lot of things is just to survive, just to go and, like, when I started my MSP, it's holy crap, I need some money. And I'm 50 grand in credit card debt, and I don't know how to do anything else. So I don't know what else to do. So I just need to go and help people with computers in business. And that was vision version 1. But then over time, that vision morphs. As you become comfortable and you get money problems out of the way, your vision then your mind starts to expand a little bit, and you can look at things from a different perspective. And you go, well, now I'm not worrying about money and all these like rent and food and all that sort of stuff. Now I can think at a bigger picture. And so for me, vision kind of organically expands and grows as our world does, and as the world around us grows. And that same thing happened in the Tech Tribe. When I'd sold my MSP, I had this need and desire and thing inside me to want to go and help other MSPs. I've been doing a little bit of it on the side when I had my own MSP, and I really bloody loved it and enjoyed the process of just helping others more than I enjoyed helping my own MSP, which was a little bit crazy. I'd probably been in my own MSP for too long. And so the vision then was literally just, I want to figure out a way to just help a couple of other people and build a bit of a business around that. Helping teach and coach them how to avoid all the crap that I did wrong when I was running mine. And there was a bunch of MSPs. We were only a 10-person team, I think, somewhere thereabouts, and about 1.5 million in revenue when we sold. So we were a tiny MSP, and but there was tons and tons and tons and tons of other tinier MSPs that I was able to help. And so that was the vision, was just help them a little bit and be able to do something then, just get a little business up and running. But as time goes by with the growth of the Tech Tribe, we've had tremendous growth over the years. The vision just keeps expanding and expanding, and the more that money's not a problem and life isn't a problem and whatever, the more I can focus on creating and crafting and building and thinking about this amazing vision for our industry that we have, and figuring out how the heck to get that vision out of here and into actual execution in there. So I think vision for me is a very organic thing, and often is nowhere, it doesn't start out with these big grand plans. I do draw a lot to map things out, to give myself a little bit of an idea of where things could go. But whenever I look back at them, I go, Nigel, you were thinking way too small, like way too small back then. And now where you are now, look at the opportunity we've got now to go and help people and serve people and have a bunch of fun in the process and have a bigger impact. And so for me, and I think that's probably true for most people, is that it's an organic thing. You often start with the vision of surviving. And then as you go through the layers of like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs or whatever you want to call it, that vision expands and the impact that you can have on the world expands. And that excites the crap out of me, because I'm a big believer that all of us have this amazing unlocked genius inside of us that can have a big impact on people around us in the world and our industries or whatever it happens to be. And that I'm a firm believer that one of our things, like my philosophy on life, is going through and figuring out what it takes to unpack that genius at every step along the way and unpack it even more and help it show up to the world more and more. And so it excites me nowadays. Every step I get to, I look at it and go, where's the next exciting pathway that this is going to take us? And when I go through a challenging time, like we're going through a little bit of one at the moment in the business that I was sharing with you off air, like part of me is going, holy crap, this is hurting and draining and I'm struggling and I'm trying my darn hardest and I feel like I'm getting socked in the face from every angle here. But on the flip side, there's another half of me going, holy crap, this is awesome, because every single part of this situation, we are learning things from that is going to allow us to be the launch pad for the next phase of our business. And that realization to me has only come in the last 5 to 10 years that there's always two sides to the challenging times and whatever. And nowadays, and I think all of that stuff helps add to that whole vision process as well. It just helps us expand that and get more confidence to execute on it and give us the tools to execute on it as well. So that's my, in a roundabout way, answering.
That's great, because what you're saying is as you execute on your vision, something else emerges from what you were thinking you were creating. It reminds me of anybody who's talked to like a fiction author. They're like, I haven't finished the book yet. And you're like, okay, well, tell me how it ends. And they're like, I don't know.
I'm just going to let it come through me.
I'm writing it, and as I'm writing it, that's what's bringing it to life.
Yeah.
So as business owners, that's really what we are doing, is bringing what we think is our vision to life, but then the needs of the community speak up, and what we enjoy speaks up, our team shifts.
Correct,
So it is a very dynamic, I guess experience is a good word for it.
That all adds to it, 100%.
The one thing that I love about what you said, I don't think enough people talk about the challenge at the beginning of starting a business. So you mentioned, $50,000 in credit card debt. I was talking to another colleague, Rob Bowles, who's with Blockworks, and he talked about when he first started. I think it was his MSP. I don't think it was the Blockworks that he started most recently, but he was literally juggling, 5 or 6 credit cards just to stay afloat, and not necessarily paying himself, but just trying to stay ahead of the credit card debt. And I think too many people don't talk about that. And so there is the perception that, oh, Rob was just an overnight success, or, Nigel never had any issues. He's like, he has the Midas touch, his MSP grew, he sold that, Tech Tribe grew. And there is the perception, because they didn't walk the mile in your shoes. They didn't know about your credit card debt or the challenges that go with running a business. Now, you know that intimately, because you walk a mile in your shoes every single day, every single week. And I love that that meme that talks about like the ups and the downs and the, oh, this is so great. And then, oh man, I lost all that money. And oh, I'm so glad I'm doing this business thing. And then, oh, I was so stupid. And like, it's one day. And it's just all these crazy ups and downs. And the emotional roller coaster.
Yeah. Oh man.
Mentorship is. So do you have any stories about that, or any tips and tricks to get through that?
How long have we got to talk here? And so someone actually mentioned that recently to me, and they said, because I did share a story about a really struggling time that I went through in my MSP journey, and it was not days, it was years, and it was years of me over medicating. There was times that I ended up in hospital beds from overdosing on things, and raging alcoholism and all sorts of stuff that I was going through when I went through those challenging times. And their response was holy crap, I thought you'd just woken up with a silver spoon in your mouth. And they were firm. They believed that thing. And I guess a lot of it is that we don't share a lot of the bad stuff out there. One, because people love likes on social media, and so we share the good stuff because that obviously garners likes and whatever. But number two, often we're ashamed of the bad stuff and the horrible situations, and we feel like we don't want people to know about it because it makes them think differently of us. And that's probably a bigger part of the fact for everybody. And it took me many years to get comfortable talking about going through the bad times out there, because I always thought that it was me being broken, having bad times, and me just being someone that should never be in the business game because I wasn't able to deal with all of this craziness. But nowadays, when I look back at all of those crazy times, there was times where I'd spend days like lying on my floor in the fetal position, tears pouring out my eyes, going like, Nigel, why the heck can't you do what everyone else is doing? Like, what is wrong with you? And even in the tech tribe, when the early year of the tech tribe, I had that exact same situations, like lying on the floor, just in tears, just going, I just want to help people. I just want to help and serve, and I just cannot figure out how to do it. And what I like looking back again now, everything's awesome in hindsight, but looking back now in hindsight, those lows, those incredible lows, are so darn important because they give us the perspective for the highs, and they give us that like we can't have an incredible high unless we've been through an incredible low out there. And so now whenever I'm in a horrible bad situation and being felt like I'm being punched from all directions, I'm grateful for it now. And I'm sure I get hit and I'm emotional and I'm struggling sometimes or whatever, but I'm also grateful knowing that this is just another part of a low that's going to help me have an even bigger high down the track. And it's just this, I see the roller coaster as kind of always going up in one direction, but having these little lows, but you can never, ever, or I don't feel you can ever go lower than your previous low out there, because you've learned stuff and you've come away. Yes. And you've got new insights and new wisdom and new confidence and whatever to come out of that low. So you kind of keep increasing the size or raising the level of your floor in there as well. And I really firmly believe that in all of us, in that we're always raising the level of our floor and our confidence and our ability and our wisdom. And we can't get back down to that, the lows that we had many years ago. But they were there and they were awesome and they were grateful, and I'm grateful for them. And I hated going through them. There's no two ways about that, because you don't know, like when you're in them, you don't know that you're going to come out the other side, or especially in the early years of going through them, you don't know you're going to come out the other side. You just feel like you're in this down, and it's going to be down for the rest of your life in there.
Yeah, this cycle, almost this cycle of stuck.
Yeah, exactly right. And
I want this, I'm curled up in the fetal position. I desperately want to help people, but I can't figure out how. I can't figure out how to get my message out there. I can't figure out how to, get people to hear me and to understand. Like, you're so passionate about it, but sometimes you feel like you're singing to a brick wall and
yep,
hearing you. So you mentioned kind of the raising the floor, and sometimes, so to me, there's two different kinds of downs. Like there's the they're obviously both out of my control, but there's the things that frustrate me in my business, right? Like they're the systems that are broken, or the processes that aren't quite optimized, or the team members that didn't follow the SOP, or like whatever, all of those challenges that have to do with running a business. But then there are the ones that feel more personal. So they're more of like a personal attack on you, the business owner, or your horrible idea that you decided to take a chance on and execute, and it crashed and burned. And yes, we want to execute fast and fail fast and then move forward. But then when people say, wow, Nigel, that's the third thing in a row you tried that didn't work, it feels a little more personal. Or like I remember when I published my book and I got my first 1-star review. Like it took me weeks to be like, okay, Jennifer, like it's probably a made up profile. And even if it's real, it's one person. Like, did you really, logically, and of course I'm not making decisions logically. We don't make decisions logically, but how do you deal with some of those challenges that feel a bit more personal?
Oh yeah, they are tough, because we are hardwired to look out for negative, right? Because when as human biology evolved over the years, looking out for the negative was the way to keep us alive. Like we're looking out for the lions and the tigers and bears and whatever. And so we're hardwired for looking and focusing intently on the negative out there, and that makes it hard. But when I keep that realization in mind, that when something negative comes along, or an attack comes along, or whatever it is that comes along, which happens more and more and more the more you get out there. And the more and more and more impact you have, the more attacks are going to happen against you. But nowadays I have this realization that I always default back to, that my human biology is going to do whatever it possibly can to focus on that attack, thinking it's a lion, tiger, or bear, or whatever it is. And I just need to rise above that and use my Jedi mind control, whatever it happens to be, to just think about all the positive impact that we're having out there, and just flip across. And that's, I was having this conversation earlier today with one of our tribe members, in that, even though I've spent years and decades on personal growth and all of this stuff, I got accused of some pretty serious stuff inside our tribe by a member last Friday. And I still like to think that, yeah, I can, like, I don't deal with these things emotionally anymore and whatever, but it still was like, pew, pew, and I'm like, and I shared that with him. I said, I think that's okay, because it shows that we care, and it shows, like, when I look at it, I go, well, if I didn't have an emotional reaction out there, then it means that I don't care about this stuff. And I do care about it. What I've got to get to nowadays is just that I allow that emotional reaction to just be quick and not control any decisions in there. And that's more what it's about. I think we're always going to have it when negative hits us. We're always going to feel that emotional reaction. We're always going to feel the things bubble up. We're always going to feel red in the face and see red and whatever. And we just got to train ourselves and continue to train ourselves to feel that, breathe into it, be okay with that. It's perfectly okay to have that reaction as part of our biology, but be very careful to not let it control any decisions after that point in time. Let yourself do that, have that calm down time, see what lessons are in there, look at the situation objectively, and then make your decisions from a much better level. Because but I don't think I personally will ever get to the point where I don't emotionally react to these things. I think I'm a human bag of meat, and emotions and reactions like that are just hardwired into us. I'm not going to be able to get rid of it. As much as some people out there tell you that you can just wire yourself so that you don't, I don't think you can. And I probably, nowadays, I'm feeling more and more that it's probably bad to not feel these emotions. Yes. Like, I think we need to feel them and be in touch with them and know that they exist and know that they serve a purpose, and that it proves that we're there and we care and this is important to us, but just don't let it control a decision. That's all it's about to me.
I love that. The fact that if your negative thinking or the outside forces, that you're seeing and you're observing and you're paying attention to, if it feels like those are outweighing your wins, then what I realized just maybe a year ago is that a lot of this is perception, and perception is reality, right? And so I know you and I are both big into understanding the way the brain works and the reticular activating system. Well, our brains are trained to keep an eye out for all of those negative things, because if we missed one, oops, we're dead. That is not going to help propagate the species. And so our brains are wired naturally to see the losses and to feel those losses intimately. And so one of my coaches said, when you're looking at your business or you're looking at your life, all you're talking about and all you're seeing and feeling and recognizing are the losses. He said, I want you to make sure that in the balancing game of life, that you're also feeling the wins. And he said, don't just see them and go, oh, look, that was good. No. If you feel the intimate losses, you need to feel the intimate wins as well. Yeah. And so I literally created a spreadsheet, and I made myself chart like 3 times a day. How much am I feeling the losses? And the goal is a 1. Like, oh, look, It's kind of like when you're meditating, right? You're like, oh, look, a loss. Goodbye. And then
see you later.
But about the wins, it's like, oh no, this is mine. I created this. I get to hold it. I get to relish it and hold on to it and say, I did that. And so I made myself chart like 3 times a day. How much am I getting rid of my losses? How much am I absorbing and feeling my wins?
Awesome.
And there's that gamification component, because by the time you've said, oh, I'm doing really horribly, and I have to say that 6 times in a row, I'm like, I'm going to find a win. Maybe there aren't any there, but I'm going to find it. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm surrounded by wins, and I just wasn't seeing them. So
correct. Yeah.
I haven't unpacked it from my trip, but I started a wins journal. So I try to write in this multiple times a week. This was one of those, someone gave it to me, and it's handmade leather and handmade paper, and it's beautiful.
Awesome.
And I couldn't figure out, I'm like, this is too special to just write a to-do list on. Like, it's it needs to be something. And when one of my coaches said, yeah, I started a wins journal and it's been great. I went, aha, now I know what I'm going to do with this journal. So, man, those mindset hacks and
Yeah.
being aware of how are you feeling, how are you thinking, what's pulling you down, and how do you, as an intelligent human, counteract that?
Yeah,
So,
it's so wildly important. I know for many years in my MSP journey, I'd grown up in a family and don't get me wrong, highly awesome family. Like mum and dad looked after us like crazy, but the word emotion was never used in our family once, and no emotion was ever exhibited in our family. So we had there was no crying, there was no saying I love you, there was no anything in our family, or very, very, very little. And so I grew up with this belief in the world that, or like not even a belief in the world, but just this lack of emotion out there. And I even went through my MSP journey, and I'm like, the whole thing is just bottled inside, and the whole like all the challenging times, the tough times, all of that stuff is bottled inside, because there was never any conversation about when we're feeling good or when we're feeling bad or whatever that I was ever saw as kind of the way to operate. And it wasn't until my mid 20s, I think, probably maybe even a little bit later, when I started to have a couple of friends where we shared emotions with each other. And it's like, it just shared internal talk about what's good and what's bad in our lives. And I never, ever had that. And so I think that was an eye-opening moment for me, is that this thing called emotions exists, and we actually shouldn't bottle this whole thing up inside. We should talk about it and be free about it, and be able to willing to have some friends around us that can help us, and we can help them in return and whatnot. And the more I get in touch with my emotional side of me, and emotions are like, it's a weird word, right? Because everyone goes, oh, emotions, like it's just all about crying and rah, but it's not. It's all about your feelings and where your confidence in yourself, and all, like a ton of different things. It's kind of a loaded word. But the more and more I've got in tune with my emotional responses, how my body responds to different things, the easier the world becomes to live through, and the more fun I'm having out there in there, because I can kind of see and control, not control completely, but I can see and respond to things in far different ways, knowing that I'm going to have this reaction and I'm expecting this, and I can talk about that, and I can whatever out there, and it just becomes an easier process, at least for me personally, as I keep opening the door and understanding that there's more and more layers of Nigel's psyche in there to unpack and uncover.
and I have to imagine that the more you get to know yourself better, the easier it is to roll with the punches, which then do you feel like that necessarily points to more success? And I mean success from like the outsider looking in, like more clients, more revenue.
Yeah, I think so. I believe 100% so, because I know back in my early years, I used to, when a punch got thrown, it would take me out for sometimes weeks at a time in terms of my momentum and my drive and my everything. And that punch could be a tiny little thing, like a client just having a bad experience on a ticket, where we've worked our rear ends off to try and create an awesome experience. And we do for 99% of tickets, but then one comes through that they give us a 2 out of 5 or whatever it was, and they're not happy. And that punch knocked me out for weeks at a time. I'm like, oh, we're not doing the right thing. And then it kind of spirals in here. But the more we learn to deal with that and focus on all the wins and stack the wins and increase the confidence there and know how to deal with that stuff, the more we can stay in the positive momentum side of things. And when those things come along that sock us in the face, we can give them a couple of minutes of time, but we don't give them a couple of weeks of time. And that's, I think, the biggest key difference in there, is that nowadays when things come along that sock me in the face, they're a couple of minutes, and sometimes Friday night, maybe a couple of hours. But after that, I move along really quickly, and I move along to just keeping back in that positive forward momentum rather than getting stuck in something that's going to stop me and whatever. And I heard this this whole analogy from sorry, not analogy, but this whole philosophy from a friend of mine called Alex Sharfin, who was an awesome coach out there and written a great book on the entrepreneurial mindset. And he talks about momentum being one of the most powerful forces in business, and that most of us entrepreneurs, our core desire is not about all of this, often not all about impact and all this other stuff. It's just about being in momentum and just knowing that we're doing something bigger each day in front of each other. And so for me, I do whatever I possibly can nowadays to protect and build momentum, and knowing that the more momentum I have, it's like a cruise ship or a big chocolate wheel or whatever. It takes some time to get these things started and build up momentum and stack the wins or whatever. But once you've got a cruise ship going, it takes a long time to stop one of those things. And so that's the way I see my momentum in business now, is that I want to do whatever I can to just keep that cruise ship going. It doesn't take, like, to get a cruise ship from 0 or a freight train from 0 to 50 takes a lot of energy to get it up there. But once it's at 50, the fuel consumption goes down a whole lot and it's much easier. And so I think for me, I'm always continually trying to push my hardest to never get back down to 0, because 0 is a hard place to start from, but trying to keep a layer, a modicum of momentum out there and building on it and increasing it, knowing that it's easier to, once you're in momentum, it's not as energy draining to stay there. But as soon as you go back to 0 momentum, it's energy draining to get yourself back up to speed out there.
So as we look at Nigel's 2 businesses that we've talked about right now, you had the MSP business and now you've got the Tech Tribe. If you take a look at, let's say, the last, let's say year 3 of the Tech Tribe, and you compare that to like year 3 of your MSP, I'm guessing the MSP would suffer by comparison. So I want to talk about the comparison trap, because I think MSPs fall into this trap a lot. They're in a peer group and they're like, oh, I'm the smallest guy in my peer group. Or, and again, some of it is perception, right? I'm the only one not having success in my entire peer group. And certainly there's a need to shift that. Can we redefine success? Because I promise you, you are doing things in your business that nobody else is doing. And it's not the revenue win or the profitability win, but you are doing things and you're moving the needle. So can we talk about the comparison trap a little bit? What have you ever fallen into that yourself? And then what kind
That's
of
a loaded question. 100%.
What kind of advice you give it those of us, those of them? Oh no, we never fall into that. But
never. 1,000%. So here's the way I see it now, and it's very, very, very simple, is that the only thing that I can compare myself is to me yesterday. I can't compare myself to anybody else. All I can do with everybody else is take inspiration from them. And so that's the philosophy I live with nowadays. I never, ever used to be like that for many, many years. But nowadays I literally can only compare myself with who I was yesterday. And if I've grown and improved and done better things since yesterday, freaking awesome. That's all I care about. If it's not as good as everybody else in the world, who cares? I'll just get inspired by them rather than get stuck in the whole world of comparisonitis, which I did and fully admit that I was in for many, many, many years. And those times lying on the floor in a bloody fetal position were comparisonitis. They were me sitting down there just going like, everybody's doing this and so-and-so's doing that and so-and-so's doing that. And I've got all of this stuff in here that I want to help, but I just can't do it. And that was because I was not comparing me to the day before. I was comparing me to everybody else, and they're all on different parts of their journey. They've gone through their ups and downs and whatever, and there's no point in it comparing. So I keep it very simple now, and it's just a choice for me. I will not compare myself to anybody else, full stop. I compare myself to me yesterday or me last year or me the year before. And if I'm growing and I'm in a positive forward momentum, that's all I care about. Everything else is just inspiration for me.
Amazing. So you are the only competition, if you will.
Correct. Yeah. And like, as I've said to a number of people, like the only competition we have is the, what's the word I'm looking for? The non-confident version of ourselves up in here. Like the only competition that's there is in our heads, and it's not competition out in the marketplace. Like in the MSP world, the marketplace is so darn big, and there is so much opportunity. There is so many clients in pretty much every single marketplace out there. Even those tiny regional towns with 2,000 people in them, there is still so much opportunity in these places to even run a remote business or whatever it is. That you like looking at your competition and worrying about them and caring about them is just a madness nowadays. Like focus on who you are and where you're coming from and where you can go. And sure, keep an eye on your competition to just see what's happening in the marketplace, but never, ever, ever get sucked down that comparisonitis route, because it's dangerous, it's debilitating, it's a horrible situation to be there, and it's not, you don't deserve it. You deserve to just care about you yesterday and make today a better version. If that better version is, some days you won't have a better version, and you look back and you go, oh, yesterday was kind of a better day or whatever, but on the whole, if you're moving forward and you look back at yourself 3 months ago and 6 months ago and 12 months ago, and you're going, holy crap, like I've improved in my thinking and in my output or in my impact or whatever it is, then that's awesome. And I know you and I, we're both journalists. I journal every single day. I think I'm up to, I don't know now, 6 or 7 years where I have not missed a day.
Amazing.
And every now and then, like the journaling for me is not for something to go back and look at historically. It's more for me to help slow down my crazy fast brain so that I can write through challenges and I can write what I'm grateful for and talk about different ideas and opportunities at a slower speed than what my brain works at. Because if I deal with all the stuff up in here, it just turned into this mess and a mush, because this thing up here operates at 1 billion miles an hour and is so loaded with ADHD and whatever, I just can't concentrate up in there. And so journaling for me is that. But sometimes every now and then I'll grab one of the journals from over there or whatever, and I'll look back on it for a year ago or 2 years ago. And I'm not looking at specifics. I'm just looking at how my mind was thinking at that point in time. And I look at it and go, holy crap, Nigel, like you've come a long way. Like you were thinking like this back then. You're thinking like this now. Like that is a big difference. And sure, the business stuff might not be wildly different, and on the surface things might not look wildly different, but your thinking has upgraded like crazy. And that shocks me sometimes. I look in there and go, oh, was that who Nigel was a year ago? Like and I look at some of them 7 years ago. Sometimes I go, I don't even recognize that person.
Yes.
Like that's crazy. It blows my mind sometimes.
Yeah, one of my favorite journal prompts, especially when I'm journaling something that I'm stuck on or a direction, I'm not sure if I should take, A or B or a combination of A and B, is, okay, Jennifer, if you were coaching someone, what advice would you give that person? And
yeah,
I've discovered Jennifer has brilliant ideas when she asks herself what she would advise someone. But if you don't take the time to do that, if you're always, go, 1,000,000 miles an hour, then you don't have the time to stop and think. And I know many people as business owners, we are executing 1,000,000 miles an hour, but we don't take the time to ponder and to think and to vision, the visioning that we did when we were a baby business. Sometimes that never happens again. So yeah.
I think that intentional time to just pull yourself away from the riffraff of day-to-day craziness and up to the 20,000 foot view on a regular basis is so darn important. And as you said, like in the early stages, when we've got more time than anything else on our hands, we can focus on some of that vision stuff a little bit more and whatever. And then what can happen is we let that fall by the wayside because we get busy and work comes in and stuff comes in and we've got team to look after and all that sort of stuff. And we forget about zooming up to the 20,000 foot view, which is where our mind needs to be on a regular basis to make sure that we are going in the right direction. And we've got that cruise ship of momentum going. We've still got to look up and make sure there's no iceberg coming in the opposite direction. And to me, journaling is a part of that, is that I'm spending that time every day at least. And some days I'm not talking about vision and future and ideas and whatever, but other days I am, and I'm just making sure that I'm on the path that I think I should be on. I don't have any goals that I aim, like I'm a kind of anti-goal guy in terms of long-term stuff. I don't look at goals 3 years out or 1 year out or whatever, because I don't believe there's anybody in the world or no one that I've come across yet that can make goals at that crazy long distance out and actually use them for good and get good and even get close to getting to them. So for me, I'm just picking a direction and going, this is the types of impact that I feel like we can have, and this is where we should be going. And every single day, I'm just going to work my butt off to keep going in that general direction over there without it having to tie to a specific monetary goal or a numbers goal or whatever it happens to be. They all come if you're focusing on the general direction of doing something damned awesome in an industry and having an impact with something that you're a genius or that you've got some genius level stuff in. So hopefully that makes sense in a roundabout kind of way.
It totally does. So you're talking about executing on something that you're a genius in, and dare we say something that only Nigel can do, or Jennifer's creating something that only Jennifer can create, which inserts the concept of imposter syndrome. So I want to talk about imposter syndrome. Let's talk about it from the MSP perspective first, because I know a lot of my clients, I'm encouraging them to do webinars or seminars or do videos, show up as a thought leader in your community. And there is this feeling like, but I don't know enough, or who do I think I am to talk to people about whatever, insert the topic here. And so I see this imposter syndrome rearing its ugly head, and its job is to hold you back again in the cave where it's nice and safe and don't step out where the saber-toothed tiger might be. And so it has its purpose, but boy, does it have an awful lot of control on some people.
Oh yeah. I was in that same boat. I think we've all been there. What I share a bit of encouragement that nowadays, and I was talking to someone about this the other day, nowadays I very, 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 very rarely battle with imposter syndrome. Now, that might mean one of two things. It might mean that I've got really good and I'm confident at what I do and whatever, or it might mean that I'm an imposter, which is hopefully is not the second case out there. Because I think I shared with you at one stage that when we were talking about imposter syndrome, that if you feel imposter syndrome, it's typically a good thing because it means that you're not an imposter. Like the real imposters, they don't think they're imposters, right? Like they're out there, like they're doing their thing. They're not thinking like they're an imposter. And that's why I mentioned that maybe I am becoming one nowadays, but hopefully not. But to me, it's that confidence thing. The more wins you have, the more impact that you have, the more things that you tick off your list that are challenging for you. Like for you, Jennifer, writing a book would have been a wildly hard challenge. But once you tick that off, a little bit of imposter syndrome gets kicked to the curb, never to come back again. It's gone. It won't come back. And you've got yourself a little layer of extra confidence in there. And every single challenging thing that we go through in our life, I believe, does that. It kicks a little bit of imposter syndrome to the curb. Now when I say I don't have imposter syndrome at all, I absolutely do. But it's at higher level things now. Like I don't have any imposter syndrome around writing a book or speaking on a stage or any of those sorts of things because I've done them. They were hard as hell, but I ticked them off and I did a good job at them. And that's to me what it's about is when we've got an imposter syndrome, it's normally an opportunity hidden in there for us to go and tackle something challenging to us, get through it and give ourselves that upgrade in confidence. And it kicks that little, like it's kind of chipping away at a statue, like that little bit of like, there's that, is it the Michelangelo statue or whatever it was that had to chip away, the David?
Yep.
Yeah. And I kind of see it like that, is that the horrible, ugly outward piece is the imposter syndrome, and you've chipped another piece away, and that piece is gone for good. It's not going to show back up in there. It's gone for good on that particular topic. And that's the way I see it. I think, and over time, the more confidence we get in that we can, like on a general note, the more confidence we get at in ourselves because we've been able to chip all these things away, the smaller levels of imposter syndrome turn up. And each time it does turn up, we go, that's because I've got a new challenge here that I've got to unpack and get through. We don't look at it as a debilitating thing. We just look at it as opportunity again.
Yes. And so it's opportunity. It's like, okay, my brain is throwing me a stop sign or a yield or a slow down kind of a sign. What's on the other side? Like I almost have become this manic, like looking for those things that are attempting to make me stop and plow through at 1,000,000 miles an hour as fast as I can. And you mentioned my book. It's interesting. I worked with my editor and we had everything uploaded to Amazon. I don't even know if you remember this, but it literally was all done and everything uploaded. The only thing I had to do was press the stupid green button that says, go live, show the public what you have created. And it needed to sit there for like a week because I had a launch day that I was aiming for. And you happen to email me and say, hey, how's it going? You're coming up on launch day. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to push the little button. I mean, not that I'm not capable of clicking a button. We click buttons on the mouse all day long, but there was this overwhelming, like I poured a quarter and a half of my life into this book. And what if it's awful? What if everybody hates it? What if people were like, who does she think she is? What if they say, well, this is pretty basic. Anybody with half a brain could have figured this out. This is useless. And you actually said some of the same things you just said live. Essentially, it's only the ones that are legit that are concerned about being an imposter. You just go right ahead and click that green button, Jennifer. Trust me, borrow my confidence. It'll be okay. That book, I don't believe that book would have ever seen. Probably what I would have done is hired someone to like go. I'll pay you $100. Just push that green button. I'm not capable of doing it. But I really had this overwhelming like. Who am I? Like I shouldn't be doing this. And then it hit the bestseller list, and it's changing lives. But it was a huge hurdle to get over. So that imposter syndrome is no joke.
It's huge. And I'm glad you brought that up because the exact same thing happened to me. So I've written 2 books now. The exact same thing happened to me. And I had the exact same issues where I'm like, oh man, like people are just going to go, oh, who is this idiot? Like what authority has he got to talk about pricing and all this sort of like MSP stuff and whatever it is. And he only ran a small MSP, like only 10 star and all this kind of crap comes up. But the important thing that I had in my ball call was a couple of people that saw in me what I didn't see in me. And so I had the support of an awesome person that was helping me out with the book. I had the support of a person in one of the vendors that was pushing me to write it and had given me a deadline of a date to write it. And that was incredibly helpful to me because they saw something that I didn't see at that point in time. I'd never written a book, so I didn't know I could do it. They could see that they'd been through books and writing books and whatever, and they'd seen they'd talked to me and they'd had a bit of interaction with me, and they could see to a T that I'd absolutely be able to smash it out of the ballpark, but I couldn't see that. And so they had to transfer their confidence in me across to me so that I had to go and do it. And the same thing happened when I was doing the public speaking, the very first time I stepped on a stage where you were there. And I had to do the closing keynote of a conference. And it terrified.
But you did knock it out of the park. Like, I still think of your stage presence and your message and how creative it was and how you knew it was clear you knew your audience. And I don't mean that you knew your audience like some of these big names go, oh, MSP, I can remember that. MSP. like no, you knew your audience, and it became clear, it came through not only that you knew the audience, but that you cared about them. This wasn't just I'm ticking the box because I've always wanted to keynote, which I'm pretty sure that was not the case for you.
Absolutely not. That's the last thing I ever wanted to do.
But you had this empathy and this passion to just impact lives, and you did it brilliantly. So it was fantastic.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was bloody hard. And as the same goes with my book, is that I had people around me that could see that I could do it. I just couldn't see it yet. So I had to borrow their confidence in me. And I had to, just like you, and that's when I saw you and your ability to write a book, and we were talking about it. And I'm like, Jennifer, you will smash a book out of the ballpark. I could see it and because I'd had that behind me, that those people behind me to help me go and do it. And I looked at you and I could see the exact same then. I could see what they were seeing in me. I'm going, holy crap, you're going to nail this book. You're going to rock it out of the ballpark. And you absolutely did. And so I was honored to be able to go and be the person that pushed you a little bit in, or one of the people that pushed you a little bit in there. And I think for all of us, though, on our journeys, that's like the takeaway from this is number one, we should always make sure that we've got people around us that in some way, shape or form that are willing to challenge us and push us and see more in us than what we might see in us. But number two, we should always, on the flip side, be making sure that we've also got people around us that we can challenge and that we can push and that we can see the better in, and we can push them as well. I feel like we're all on this journey, and we've got these people in front of us and there's people behind us in their journeys. Or not, that's probably a bad analogy, but they're just for sake of the point. And our goal is to be inspired and take confidence and whatever from the people in front of us that are more than willing to give it, and throw it further down the chain, helping other people rise up. And it's that whole rising tide floats all boats kind of thing, in that we all feed and help and learn and whatever off each other. It's to me, it's bloody awesome. And there's no way I would have been able to do it. Same in my MSP journey. I had a great mentor in that I'm still a very personal friend with to this day. And she was the one that was like, Nigel, if you go and start your own MSP, I'm your very first client. And she was pushing me and doing all of this stuff. And I'm like, I can't do this stuff. Like, I'm the guy that came from a family of nothing. And we were taught as kids to not even speak to business owners because they were a different level of human to us. And we'd never get to that level of human. And so I was lucky to have a person in there. And then I've been that person now to many other people. And the Tech Tribe is in part that. The Tech Tribe is in part the confidence that the giving confidence to all the other smaller, nimble MSPs out there, as I like to call them, to go and have someone in your court and a program and a system and a community in your court to be that support around you, because it was so darn pivotal to me. And being able to create something that's so darn pivotal to anybody else is what makes me wake up alive in the morning to keep doing it and to keep loving the mission that we're on.
So as you were talking about having that circle around you where you can impact others, but they can also impact you, and it's that community or the tribe, if you will. It reminded me at the event I was just at last week, Michelle Ragusa McBain was talking about. Yeah. She had a slide up there where she was talking about building a community and how the MSP community is a community. And then she threw a slide up there and she said, so why am I showing you a flock of geese? She said, on its surface, it looks like it has nothing to do with the MSP world. And she said, but that first goose is actually making it easier for the ones that come behind him. And then when that first one gets tired, it drops back and somebody else takes its place. And she said, do you know why you always hear like the geese honking? Well, at least we do in the States. I don't know if you have geese in Australia or not.
I don't think so. Maybe.
When they're migrating, they actually honk. Like when they're coming over
Right.
the house,
Oh,
they
right.
honk and they're loud. And she
Oh,
said,
wow.
you know why they're doing that? And I'm like, I just thought they were obnoxious. Like, no, I had no idea. They're cheering each other on. They
Right.
legitimately are calling to the one in the front. You can do it. You can do it.
Yeah, right.
Even you. And that probably has a lot to do with why they keep going. So
Yeah, wow.
that's
Yeah, right.
fantastic.
That's
So,
crazy. There's that old other analogy though as well, that the goose or the person out the front is also the one with all the arrows in their back as they're out there. I think it's probably a balance between both out there.
Yes, it's like if I know who just shot that arrow in my back, we're switching places. You got to lead the pack.
Yeah. You're moving back now, but
you go to the front for a few minutes.
Exactly right. But I do love that about our industry. And I deeply love that about our industry is that we're so, I say this often and people probably think I'm a broken record, but MSPs, I love that they care often far more about their competitors than they care about themselves. And that's just the part of the spirit of most MSP owners, is that we want to help and serve far more than we care about profits and all that other kind of stuff out there. And there's not many industries that share that same spirit out there. And I absolutely freaking love it. It helped me get through my years of an MSP like crazy. And now I'm loving that we've been able to be a part of doing that for other people out there, because it's crazy. I was speaking to someone at a business coaching event that I was at one day. And I was talking about our industry and how we always get everybody together and everybody shares with each other and helps each other and answers each other's questions and all that sort of stuff. And he goes, like, his jaw dropped. He goes, holy crap. Like, if I got all of my clients in the same room from the same industry, there would probably be people killing each other in there. And he was talking about the hairdressing industry, mind you, but he said that just does not exist in our industry. Like, people do not want to help each other because it's such a cutthroat industry. And our industry is the polar opposite. We will help and serve and protect and do anything for our industry and for our competitors. And most people will. And that spirit exists across 80-90% of our industry. It's absolutely amazing to see. And for us, we're trying to help push that even more and more and more, because I'm a big believer that it's the people around you that help you more than anything else in your journey, and seeing all that inspiration from others and having the support of others when you need it and all sorts of stuff like that is really what it's all about.
I love it. Okay, so you went from owning your MSP, perhaps you stayed doing nothing for about 25 seconds before you decided to launch the Tech Tribe. And I know this is not a sales pitch, but I still want you to at least give the URL and I'll type it in the chat. You can give it out loud a couple of times, but what's the vision for the Tech Tribe? You've hinted at it a few times, but you've been super gracious in giving us your time and just the wisdom that you have on growing ourselves personally, as people, as business owners, weathering the storms that are business ownership. So I want you to share just a little bit about the Tech Tribe. Who is the Tech Tribe? Who's it for? What is it doing in the channel?
So is this where my imposter syndrome comes up and I go, I shouldn't be talking about this stuff. Like, who are you to talk about your own bloody business, Nigel? Which it does.
Answer my question,
but I'm going to answer your question. So, and I'm bad at it because I hate pitching about things. But the Tech Tribe is essentially we're now just under 3,500 MSPs all around the world inside the program, plus all of their team in there. And it's two things. It's a program where we teach MSPs things like, we've got a workshop in there from you on cybersecurity sales. We've got all sorts of stuff like marketing stuff. We give people monthly marketing packs. We give them, we allow them, like, we've got a system that we built that creates their printed newsletters for them. We've got an entire marketing and sales automation engine in there, much like Active Campaign or Keep, whatever. All of this gets given to all of our members. And we give them templates and training and resources. There's something like 150 plus different templates and training in there, from managed service agreement templates to HR things to all sorts of stuff. But then on the other side, to me, the more important side is we've got this raging awesome community in there. And that's people come and join us because they want access to all the templates and the training and all that kind of stuff. But they stick around with us because they get locked into this amazing supportive community, made up of thousands and thousands of other colleagues and peers and MSPs all around the world, helping and serving each other. And we've had, I was looking at the stats the other day, we've had over 120,000 posts made in there now, and replies and comments and help going backwards and forwards between people. And and we were having a couple of moderation issues last week with an issue that arose. But when and it kind of took us all by left field. But when I looked at it, I went, we've had 120,000 posts that have happened over a 6-year period. We've only been hit with like 1 or 2 challenges in there. That means the other 119,998 posts in there have all been wildly helpful and wildly supportive and wildly, like, it's people being served and looked after and supported. And that to me is what most of it is about. It's just helping foster that community of MSPs all around the world. And so we've got bunches of them that now have their own little mini groups in there, that have created their own little, we call them tribal accountability groups, that they get locked into, and they've got a bunch of like 4 or 5 or 6 of them that all hang out with each other. We've got groups happening in the UK at the moment that are in person, that are all starting to hang out and meet in person each month to talk about the craziness that we all go through.
Yes.
And so that's what it is. It's a little thing. That's we keep it super cheap. At the moment, it's $49 per month. We get, I've actually, funnily enough, I've had 2 members come to me and say, Nigel, I'm kind of embarrassed that we're paying what we pay for the value that we get in return. Can we pay you more? And I'm like, now that, like, obviously the answer was no, but it made me proud that we've got this thing that we've built that people are valuing so darn much out there. And I don't ever want to make it crazy expensive. We've got to have a price increase soon to keep up with this inflation.
Sure.
But and the way we do pricing, we do grandfather people in. So the price point that you join at is the price point you stay for life.
Amazing.
But yeah, so that's what it is. So program, resources, community, all the sort of stuff that I wish I had in my MSP when I had it. And a lot of it is based on me and other smart, awesome, me and other smart, awesome MSPs. I'm not going to include myself in them, but sharing their stuff as well in there and whatever. So it's kind of a cool place nowadays.
I love it. And we've had several people say they appreciate you getting on and your energy and the
thanks, Jeff.
The contribution. Like you're not faking it. Like you genuinely love the community and want to help MSPs any way that you can. And we had you on, it's got to be 2 years ago. It's been way too long. And it's one of the most rewatched and requested events. We actually had to make a special post for it and pinned it for about 6 months because people were like, hey, I heard Nigel something about mindset and I need to watch it. I'm like, yes, you do. Amazing. So I so appreciate this. I cannot tell you thank you enough for adding to the community inside of my Facebook group, adding to the MSP community, and then personally just impacting me and encouraging me to write the book and to click that green button and fight the ugly imposter syndrome monster. So from me to you, and at some point we will see each other again. We saw each other at right barely pre-pandemic. And then we've both been on our respective continents since.
Yeah.
And so we will see each other again. It may not be real soon, but hopefully.
Your turn to come to Australia this time.
I've been there once. I would love to come back. Love your country. It's fantastic.
We would love to have you here. Just look out for the spiders and snakes and all of the craziness.
Like a non-spider season, I would like to come.
It's all a fallacy. Like we say that just so that people don't come out, want to move to Australia, so we keep it to ourselves. Like it's
okay, that's fair.
there is stuff out here that kill. Like I have seen probably 5 snakes in my life.
That's not bad.
But last week or the week before, I saw a spider downstairs that would kill you. In our garage, but like you just don't go near them. It's easy.
Yeah, nope. I'm not anywhere near them. I'm over here in North America. Keep those poisonous
fire
yourself.
Fire. But thank you. I appreciate you having me on, and I am, as I said before, I'm honored that I was able to help you in your journey as well. And you've obviously had an impact on me and my tribe as well. It's been awesome the help that you've been able to serve, or you've been able to give our members as well in there. And I just massive congrats on getting the book out. And I know it's probably not going to be the last, and it's probably given you a bunch. I know it's given you a bunch of awesome confidence. It's helped.
It has.
You have a bigger impact in the world. And what I really love seeing is people that have the right intention, having wins. That is so darn important for me. I'm like, one of my biggest core values is fairness amongst people, and just seeing I probably call some of us the underdog. I'm not a big fan of that term, but the underdogs are people that are just got the right intention and can do the work, getting the wins. And I bloody love seeing it. Like it's what I thrive for, is seeing people that really deserve the wins seeing their own wins. So I love seeing it. It's awesome.
You're the
Anyway,
best.
we could babble on, patting each other on the back forever. I'm sure we could.
We 100% could. Again, I so appreciate the time. I know trying to find a time that works for you as well as the group that's mostly in North America. So
yeah,
I appreciate.
yeah.
I know this is a little early for you.
Sorry, guys. I was born out in paradise. My fault.
No, I'm glad we could find a time that worked for everyone. And I have no doubt people are going to be catching this in the next couple of days, couple of weeks and
Cool.
to come. So
Cool.
amazing.
Hopefully it helps even one of you out there.
It will. And it already has based on the comments. So
Awesome.
Thank you again. I so much appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.